Curiousaholic. My name is Haiko. I'm here with my buddy Evan.
Hear things.
So, before we get into today's episode, here is a quick rundown of how the podcast works. So, in each episode, one of us comes up with an interesting topic that they are curious about and reveals it live to the other person in the hopes to spark a deep discussion and further our knowledge of the world around us.
Right. Feels like I needed to make a prayer after that.
Everybody rise. Make your prayers. Yeah, I know it sounded kind of
It's like an organ.
Like it lifts you up.
Yeah.
Makes you hopeful or something.
Rise from the dead.
Rise from the dead. Wow. Okay. So yeah, how you been?
Pretty good.
Doing
how about
good?
you?
Good. Not bad. Just doing the usual.
Yeah. What's the usual?
What's the usual? Work.
Rihanna.
Exactly. Are you cold today? You got a beanie out.
It's weather in Montreal is always up and down, so you never know when to bring your beanie or not.
It's always best to have a beanie than not have a beanie.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, that's cool. Changed up the style a bit.
Yeah.
But anyways, so today's episode, do you have any kind of guesses? What do you feel?
What do I feel? Well, like I said, I don't know. It's kind of like an uplifting mood. Am I supposed to feel that? Or
I don't know. I was kind of going for more like thoughtful or sort of.
I don't think I'm ever gonna guess your topics.
You're always like, what is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
But anyways, I won't lead you on too long because today's topic is actually a recurrent one.
Philosophically deep too.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
You guessed. I knew it was that since the beginning, but I didn't want to say it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, even before you started playing piano, you were kind of telling me the mood, and I had a feeling it was going to be that.
You're like, I know what this guy is going
thoughtful,
for.
So
yeah. Okay. So we're revisiting a kind of series, if you will, that I begun.
Yeah.
That you can also do one yourself.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing one the other time, but I found another topic instead. So
that's fine. So I thought we'd revisit this since it's been quite a few episodes, 10 or more episodes. Just to kind of give a recap to you and to people listening to us. So how does this work philosophically deep? So there will be 4 deep philosophical questions. We will each answer and discuss them together. These questions come either from me or that I found somewhere else and I thought were interesting. The purpose, is to find, value in different points of views and see how we each see the world differently. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's
we just got to have fun with it.
Exactly. But I like this, these kind of questions where you tinker with it and you try to figure out
kind of going back and forth with something that doesn't necessarily have a right or wrong answer,
Yeah, exactly. Because some people can be really passionate about something and then, others can have the opposite point of view. Yeah, which true. You'll see. There's some questions here that, it can be a little controversial.
We like those.
Yep. So, all right, let's dive into it.
Let's get it.
So, first question. Okay. So, does a human being need suffering, or should we strive to eradicate all forms of suffering?
Okay. This is a good one. I think I have an answer for it, though.
You do? Okay.
Like a pretty thought out answer.
Oh, okay.
So
go ahead.
The book Dopamine Nation talks about how you have like a pleasure and pain scale, right?
Yes.
And if you tip the scale from one side more than to the other, then you're never gonna have equilibrium, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're tipping towards the pleasure scale too much, then you're never going to have equilibrium in your life, and everything that actually is supposed to bring you meaning and joy is not going to seem as enjoyable just because your dopamine is so high on one end rather than the other. Okay. So if you counteract it with suffering and pain, then you might enjoy life to a further extent, I would say.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I've read that book as well. Yeah. And I recommended that to you. So yes, that's a good point from that book that you're bringing on. But what I'm trying to, because I'm going to try to push you here more okay, by suffering, I mean mental, physical, emotional, or financial. So should people endure wars, violence? Should there be homicide? Should there be, things that are really, bad for people?
Yeah.
And should those things be eradicated, or do humans need like some sort of
Challenges.
roughness in their life? Because yes, we always hear like artists or whatever, different people who say, I was addicted before, I went to jail, or I've I fought with people, or anything, post-traumatic
Stress.
traumatic stress disorders, but then they become better versions of themselves, and they say if they didn't have those experiences, then they wouldn't have become the people they are now.
Right. Yeah, well, I think it's kind of relative, right? It depends how you want to, interpret suffering and pain, right? So, like, the pain I was referring to is kind of more like a pain that you feel, but that's not like, kind of life or death, like a war or something. So I think pain and suffering it should be there if it's not like brought to the extreme, right? Because if you're tipping it to the other side, right? If you're tipping pain too much, then you're not going to feel, all you're going to feel is pain and nothing else, and life is going to be miserable either way.
Okay.
Right? So I would say I think it should be there, but obviously not to degrees where, people have to go through like famine and war and shit like that. That, I agree, should be eradicated. Did you see that Elon Musk like donated like billions of dollars to end world hunger or something? That's just an aside, but
well, yeah, I think it was a while ago.
No, I think it was like recent. Yeah.
Okay. Did he, or did someone say like, come on, Elon, give billions of dollars, and he's like, okay, I'll do it if it actually does solve world hunger, I think.
I don't know, but
okay.
Yeah, I think he did.
Oh, you think he
donated that much?
Okay.
I'm not like I don't know the intricacies of all of it, but
yeah.
Like, I know he definitely donated some money.
Okay.
It's kind of weird, but
you think that's gonna
well,
help?
that's the thing. We don't know if it's gonna help 100%, and I don't think it's ever gonna help.
But
like,
I'm skeptical because I've heard a lot of people say that it's not just the money,
Right.
Because everyone says, per year you need 30 billion to end world hunger. Okay, but you need to give the people the capacity of like making food and having enough for themselves and sustaining themselves.
Yeah, like famine is not just a question of money. It's like there's so much more to it, right? There's
infrastructure,
conflict, there's so many things that kind of govern that. Not just money itself, right? There's greed involved. There's like people want to grab resources from other people. Like that's how it is. But yeah, so going back to the question, I think, to a certain degree, we need suffering just to keep that balance. But there are certain things that, we should definitely eradicate as much as we can.
Okay, what about like diseases, like really bad diseases that people are born with, or accidents, or anything that's very debilitating?
Yeah, well, I think that's something that we could, go without.
Okay. But we do agree that, as we move forward, kind of the whole objective of society is always trying to make things comfortable, more easy, pleasurable, more, less suffering. So our goal is that, even though, yes, we have a lot of war still, we still have a long way to go, but our goal is sort of, this, not a utopia, but like a place where everyone's kind of happy and there's no challenges. But we agreed that, once everyone is kind of all the same, it's like, there won't be like the type of people from now where they've gone through hardships and adversities and they've become like extraordinary people. So we know that will affect the type of people and personalities and,
Yeah, exactly. I think it would make society a little bit less dynamic and kind of like more mundane, right? If everyone just kind of had similar lives, everything to at their fingertips kind of thing, and no problems ever happened in their lives. Yeah, it would be different, that's for sure. And I think, like certain difficulties definitely build character in society, right? Like all these like really big and influential people, like let's say Martin Luther King and all these people that had to go through really tough times. That's how they became who they are. So I think hard times make hard people, right? as wrong as that sounds.
No, I get it. But then, there's that quote that we kind of both know where, how did it go? Like, hard times create,
hard men. Yeah. I don't know the whole quote, but I know which one you're referring to.
Like, create comfortable times, and then comfortable times create weak men, and then weak men create hard times. So it's almost like, I think, if we reach to a point where as a society as a whole, suffering has been reduced a lot, in terms of physical, mental, everyone has support if you're feeling down or whatever. But then I think people will find ways to challenge themselves. Because that's the thing. It's sort of that balance. Because, even though people don't want suffering, you kind of do. Yeah, you kind of do. Yeah, it's like, why do we work out? Why do we put ourselves under that stress? Why?
Exactly. Well,
I could sit on my sofa and be.
Sometimes I ask myself the question, like sometimes doing a workout and it hurts.
Why am I doing
this to myself? Like it's painful, it's heavy. Yeah, it's because from pain, there's going to be good that resolves from it, right? Growth and development in general. So I think there are certain types of suffering that if we could eliminate them, I think it'd be great, right? Like
needless suffering. It's why should someone go through that? Like if you have food enough, but why shouldn't somebody else, have that as well?
And it's crazy because some people actually put themselves in other people's shoes in that sense, right? Like say like people that do prolonged fasting just to mimic what it would be like to have extreme suffering. So people intentionally put themselves through suffering just to see how it really is to be in pain, because there is growth that results from that, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I never thought of the fasting as kind of like mimicking, almost like not famine, I guess, but like having very little food and not eating enough.
Exactly.
It's sort of like these intentional ways where we put challenges on ourselves, burdens, and that's what I think where we're heading at. Where as a society, a lot of suffering might get reduced, but people will find different ways to challenge themselves so they can grow, and I think we need that.
Yeah, because I feel like as we're becoming more of like a developed society and stuff, everything is just going towards a more comforting route, right? Where we're never trying to, impose like difficult things upon ourselves. It's always like, what's the easiest way out with all these new technologies coming out? But fast, so quick, hopefully some people do still try to put themselves through hardship so they could grow and develop.
Or like another example, like you have your house, everything's comfortable, you have everything, but then you decide to go camping, which is like, you have to be kind of in the wilderness, kind of be more, resourceful, independent. So it's another form of like putting yourself in a more difficult situation to build character, I guess. Or
exactly. And just become more independent and, flexible when things go wrong. Because, when you're on a camping trip, things could definitely go wrong more often than when you're on your couch like I am right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think as a society, if we move towards a more peaceful period, I think there should be like these sort of activities or like these outings. You go with a group out into the wilderness, kind of like scouts, I guess, or something like that, where you engage in like difficult things. You have to make fire out of woods or whatever, even though like back home everything is there, and so
just listen to David Goggins basically, and you'll you'll want to be in pain all day.
He's like, I want to suffer. That's his
pain.
You're alive.
Suffering.
Every day you gotta suffer. Do your push-ups, run 10 miles a day. I mean, okay. Yeah, he's a bit extreme, but,
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
That's the idea.
Yeah. Like, see, personally, I wouldn't want to induce that much pain to myself, but I do understand his ideology where, if you do, he talks about, like, callousing your mind and stuff. If you do callous your mind towards difficult things, then other hard things in life are going to seem easier.
Yeah, you're right. So okay, I guess we kind of agree in the general sense that like needless suffering, people who have mental disorders or mental illnesses that they should be helped. Famine, violence. Me like I don't agree with that. Any sort of like physical violence should not be there. I guess financially, or whatever other system we live in where people have wealth and are able to, sustain themselves, that can all be, corrected. But there should be little challenges and adversities that people still experience to grow.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we share the same point on this.
Yep. So, all right. Cool.
All right. Cool.
Let us move on the second question. All right. Okay, so this is a little bit of a controversial one. So, is a human life worth more than an animal's?
Oof, this is a hard one.
Vegans have entered the chat.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, let's try not to offend too many people with this one, but
yeah, animals meaning mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, insects, and fish. So basically, almost all animals, besides like little organisms or whatever.
Okay, so you wouldn't include like, I was gonna say plants, but plants are not animals.
No, exactly. Like organism, like parasites or whatever. Yeah, I don't consider.
Okay. So you're saying like, let's say a dog.
Those bastards can die. Yeah, like a dog, a fish, an elephant, a mosquito.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's different levels.
How do we attack this one? Well, I would say that like all lives should be equal. I think it sucks that like humans use animals to like their own needs sometimes, like let's say lab rats or freaking mice and whatever, and we kind of test on them and shit. Like it's almost like we do that to them because we
don't want to do it on ourselves.
Yeah, and we're more powerful than they are, so we use them as test subjects almost, right? So in that sense, I think we should be careful with that, and like all lives kind of matter. In that sense,
all lives matter.
Yeah, sounds like one of those
political
statements. Yeah, but and we got to kind of be careful to not overuse that power. Just kind of it's just a small animal. We could test it and do whatever and give it all kinds of chemicals and see how it reacts.
Inject
and shit,
it or
right?
Whatever.
Yeah, and we are guilty of that, right?
Yeah, I agree. In that aspect, I agree. Okay, so you're more against of like needlessly testing and abusing animals for our own benefit. Right. Okay, yeah, me too. I'm generally against that. Okay, well, what about the whole meat thing? That's the whole.
Well, yeah, I mean,
killing animals to eat them.
Right.
Should we do
Well, I think if you think back at like how nature is, right? Like hunting is part of just nature in general, right?
Yeah.
Animals between breeds, they hunt each other.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with humans. I mean, I think the ways that we perform the hunting and like the killing of animals to eat could be changed. Okay. Like the food industry is so dirty in that sense, right?
Yeah, their practices aren't very.
I think that's what we need to clean up. I don't think the act of actually eating, meat is bad.
Okay.
That's my personal choice, but
me too. I agree. Yeah. So because a lot of people think of like the ethical thing is to not kill an animal because all animal lives are equal. But then you ask as a vegan, like, okay, why are animals killing each other? Because they say it's almost like we're human. We're able to observe. It's almost as if the animals are like the kids and we're like the parent and we should know better.
Just because we have a conscience doesn't mean that we're not as guilty as the other animals, to be honest.
Because at the end of the day we are another sort of animal.
We are
animals.
We are. Yeah. See, I'm going back to that point where I think what we need to clean up is the way we're executing these animals. That's what needs to be revised. Like for example, cattle, right? They're given all kinds of like hormones and steroids for them to get bigger, and die quicker, and then you have more meat to eat from. That's not ethical, right? That's something that should be revised. Okay. Or chickens that can't even walk. Have you ever seen the movie Food Inc.?
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
You definitely should watch that movie. It's like
I know it's one of those movies where you watch and you're like, I don't want to eat meat anymore.
It's a weird movie, and you just see like the chickens get so fat that they can't walk
they're very crowded in one place. They walk in their own poop.
Yeah, I think to go back to the general question, I think all lives are equal, but I don't think it's wrong that like species are hunting each other. I think that's just how it's supposed to be. But it's important not to overuse our power, because we are smarter than these animals, and we know how to win all the time, right?
It's like, yeah, we could, if we want to dominate these animals, sort of like in the movie Matrix, where the robots, they take control of the humans and they're put into these pods, and their energy is sucked to like, you know, feed their own whatever needs they have, you know. So it's almost like, you know, we are sort of the parent, the wiser one, where it's like, you know, we'll respect you, but we'll eat you.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, I know, but
it's a weird thing, but that's the thing. It's the nature that we've grown to hunt animals, and you know.
Sorry to cut you off, but if you think about it, right? If we go back in like prehistoric times, if it wasn't for hunting animals, we probably wouldn't have society right now. We'd be like extinct. It was the discovery of fire and all these, you know, different hunting equipment that made us more proficient at building our society and growing as a human species. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be here, right?
You're right. That's why, you know, like vegans, are they gonna, you know, blame prehistoric men for eating meat?
No, like,
you know,
it's
because that's the thing. Okay, maybe as a human, you see an animal, you're like, man, I feel bad for it. And a lot of times, like, you see in movies where like the guy is like hunting, and it's like, I'm sorry, you know, like, I have to shoot you. Like, I don't have a choice, you know. It's like, it's either you or my family that, you know, starves to death. And it's sort of these sacrifices that we need to make, you know. That's why, you know, like religious people or whatever, when they hunt, they're like, you know, thank you for this food, or, you know.
I have a thought experiment that's going to go even deeper than this. Okay, so let's say you were alone, with a lion in a cage, and both of you had nothing to eat,
but
do you think the lion would not eat you?
Well, yeah, because he doesn't have the...
Right. Like, it's... You know what I mean?
But but explaining that to vegans, it's like...
No, I'm not trying to bash vegans. I'm just saying it seems irrational to me to think that like the lion wouldn't eat you. He would. He needs to eat. Like, what is he gonna do? Die? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, you're gonna eat the lion if you're freaking hungry. You know?
But that's the thing, it's like, just because we're able to think more than the lion and we're conscious of it, we're not going to be like, okay, eat me because I'm wise and
I'll die.
I feel bad for you. Yeah.
No, like...
Everyone cares for their own survival. It's just that, yes, now that we live in a society where we have our cities and nations, you know, we're not in the wilderness or survival state. So we're able to dominate the animals. That's why we need to... be careful with the power we exert.
Exactly. Yeah,
like you said.
We are way more powerful because we have technology to back us up, right?
Yeah.
In reality, we're all kind of weak, but technology is what's driving our force.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like humans, you know, they don't have like a lot of brute force necessarily, or like speed, or like, you know, can't fly, but we have the brains.
Yeah, and that's what makes us superior to all other species in reality.
That's why we're able to dominate, because we're able to outsmart the animal.
Right.
Yeah.
No matter how physically imposing the animal is, we're always going to win because we're, you know, brains beats bronze all the time.
It's like, oh, you're going to attack me? Cool, I have a gun.
Exactly. So, yeah. So I think we answered that one pretty well.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, I guess, with animals, like insects as well. Like, I wouldn't go around needlessly, like, trying to kill an insect.
Right,
That's the thing. Point. It's like, oh, I stepped on an insect. My
bad, you know? Like, I'm only, like, 1,000,000 times larger than the insect.
That's the thing. Okay, haven't other animals accidentally killed insects? They have. They're everywhere.
Exactly.
So, that's, But as you said, it's the responsibility aspect.
I think we could actually tie this to kind of, like, avoid needless suffering again.
Yeah, you're right. It kind of... Yeah, just avoid...
Exactly. Why would you kill an insect? Like, that's like needless suffering, right? That's just not right.
It's just like evil, kind of.
It's kind of evil. Like, what's the point? Like, imagine you see like a colony of ants. Like, you want to start jumping on the colony, like, for no reason. Like,
yeah, like that, I wouldn't agree. Yeah.
Exactly. There's no point in that.
So...
But hunting for survival is a different story, right? It's just something else entirely.
But so in terms of the question, as in, is human life worth more than an animal? I guess not.
No.
It's not objectively like, oh, this is worth more. Who says?
No, because we are mammals. We are part of them too, right? We are animals. Like,
it's just we're able to think.
Yeah. The only thing that distinguishes us from like being like a pure, like animal is like our conscious, and like we label ourselves as humans, but
instead of animals.
But in reality, we are animals.
It's a sort of like, giving ourselves this self-importance.
Exactly.
We're biased.
Humans like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Center of the world. God only,
go to Mars.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah. All right. That's cool. We answered that. All right. Third question. All right. This is another interesting one. So if every action or thought is a result of an internal or external stimuli, then does a human being have free will?
I like this one. So you're saying that like every action is kind of like an action reaction with what's happening on the outside world.
Yeah.
So do we really have like a free consciousness if like we're only reacting to like what's happening? Is that it?
Yeah, it's sort of like the question of determinism versus free will. Some people say like everything is sort of determined because it's sort of like a chain reaction of things that happen instead of free will. So what do you think of that? It's a little tricky.
So it's almost like that thing where like, is your life written out before you're even born? It kind of comes down to that, right?
It almost comes down to like, it's you have a destiny, or
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really believe in that. That's just me, but like, because I think you could still, consciously determine what happens on the outside world too. It kind of goes both ways.
Okay.
Like, it's not just what happens on the outside that's going to influence me. I could also influence what's happening on the outside.
Yes, you're right. But how could I explain this? Like, okay. Well, this was like a video I saw. Do you know Sam Harris? Have you heard of him?
Who's that guy? Wasn't he on Joe Rogan's podcast? He has like
I think
dark hair.
Yeah, short dark hair.
Right,
He's a neuroscientist, philosopher. He has a podcast as well. Intelligent man. He was like part of the 4 horsemen that they called of like the atheist: Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens. So yeah, Sam Harris, like, he had a video where he was talking about free will, and his thought is that there is no such thing as free will, that everything is just sort of like a chain reaction of things. But he gave like an example. He said, okay, pick any city in the world, okay? And then he said, okay, did you pick a city? Okay, so what city did you pick?
Montreal.
You know what? When I watched this video, I also picked Montreal.
Yeah, because we're here.
But that's the thing. He says, okay, the city that you pick, why did you pick it? Can you kind of feel where the thought came from? Was it a conscious decision of absolute free will that you could have picked any city and you chose that? Why?
Yeah, I guess on that one, it's probably the outside that influenced the internal decision.
But that's the thing. It's he also says that if you don't know all the options available, how can you have free will?
Yeah.
Or do you only have free will in the limited options that are available to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard to answer, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
philosophically deep. Yeah.
Yeah, it is deep. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess like we need to be careful where we draw the line with that. Like, I feel like there is a certain point where you will have like conscious decisions and conscious free will on your own life, but maybe some of your thoughts could be influenced based on like the the society you live in or the economic context you're in. So I feel like it's like almost like a mix of both.
I feel like I think that there is a lot of influence.
Yeah.
I think a lot of decisions that people make in their life are because of all
context.
Of the context they're in, the influence of the peers, family, the culture, whatever. And even the thoughts that are generated in their head isn't like some sort of unique thing. It's sort of a whole mishmash of, you know.
So maybe another example that we could use to wrap our head around this is the reason why we started this podcast. Was it free will, or was it no, seriously, was it free will?
No, I know. That's a good question.
Was it because like we're in that setting, right? Like we started while it was like, lockdown and there was nothing else, and then
but we were talking about podcasts in general,
and then we were learning about like different podcasts online, and then what's available out there. So was it a mix of both, or was it because we were in that context that we started?
Well, okay, but that's a good example. I mean, yeah, like that, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, so can we be free from the context we're in and the influences? Yeah,
not fully.
Not fully. It's like, you can't be like, okay, I'm in this lockdown situation, whatever, I'm talking to you, and then I sort of step back, like I get out of like this world, and then I'm like doing free will, like, no, I'm gonna decide to do that.
Yeah, like unless you're like some type of like isolated society, like how there's like some societies that are kind of their own tribes, and like they do their own thing.
Yeah,
maybe you will have more tendency to have like free will in that sense, because they are so isolated. They don't know anything that's happening. They don't even know what COVID is. They don't even know what all the laws are.
Yeah, but I mean, they're influencing their own sphere of their own world.
Right. So that's on the individual level, but like on their society, like how does their society act towards general society?
Well, they can't do anything. I mean, because they're so far away.
But that's the thing, right? So if they are far away from like overall society, them as an entity probably have free will, but the individuals in that society act again on that mini society. It's weird.
Interesting. Okay. So then, let's say, let's say the Western society, like America, Europe, whatever.
Yeah.
So we're, as a whole, have a free will to go in whatever direction we want, versus
like as a group. But on the individual level, you're kind of gonna always be tied to where you're at, right?
Okay. But how is it as a group? I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Okay.
It's weird, yeah.
Okay, so you perceive, like, let's say we call it the Western group. You perceive the Western group as this entity that doesn't have
necessarily ties to a certain outside influence. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess that's an interesting way to look at it.
It's a weird way to look at it, but I guess it depends, like it's relative, right? It depends what the field of reference is. If the reference is the individual level, then the individual is always going to have like certain ties to a society, but maybe there are certain mini societies that could act independently from one another, kind of thing,
Okay.
Like I feel like the most like the best way to think about it is like, those tribes that live like just really completely far astray from anything. They have their own thing going on, but maybe on the individual level, they're following that group.
They're following that group. Okay, but I mean, anyways, is it relevant to where the group is going? I mean, like, well, because I'm talking about like human being here. Like, does a human being have a free will?
Well, that's the thing. It depends what you're associated to.
Okay.
That's what I mean. It's a hard one to...
Okay. Well, yeah, okay, but like, despite the group you're in, you're either in this indigenous tribe that's far off wherever, or you're in this modern society. As a human being, do you have free will to decide absolutely whatever you want, whichever choice, or are these like sort of determined with these micro changes in context? And
it's true that like you're always going to have some tie one way or another, even if you're in this indigenous tribe, right? You're still going to be following those customs.
Okay.
Right. So I guess on an individual level, I don't think it's possible to have 100% free will, but I think it's possible to have more free will depending on which society you're placed in. I think that's the point I'm trying to bring.
Okay.
So someone in an indigenous tribe is going to have probably more free will than someone that lives in our society. That's my opinion.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Well, just because they don't follow any of the general, just traditions, and they kind of live on their own. They hunt. They don't go to stores. Like they have their own. They do their own thing.
Or you mean like, since those tribes are like these smaller groups of people, they're not exposed as to many more options and views and perspectives.
Right,
and
that's what I mean.
Whereas here, you know, I see people from all over the world and
all faces of life,
all types of people. Whereas them, it's like we're hunter gatherers and that's it.
Yeah, they do what they want. Like,
well, do they though?
Well, they could be sanctioned and whatever. Like, it depends.
No, I mean, like, weren't they be more deterministic in their behavior since they're limited in that sense in the choices that they're presented with?
Not really. I would say the other way around, because if you're presented with like so many choices, you would think it gives you more free will, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to, you know,
or
like,
is that
rethink your logic here.
Or is that just kind of like a trap in a sense? Like, there's so many options available,
so you're more influenced.
So you're kind of going in all directions, and you're always influenced.
Okay, but all right, let's say the indigenous tribes, you know, they're just hunter-gatherers, but there's no lawyers or doctors there.
But who's to say they have they don't have a lot of directions to go in? Just because their life is simple doesn't mean they could go in different directions.
Okay, but that's what I want to ask you now. So there you have a 20-year-old hunter-gatherer. Is he going to be like, I want to be a lawyer now?
No, but... like, I don't think free will necessarily is like career or has to be career oriented.
No, I'm just giving like a stupid example. But like, what other?
But who's to say you can't leave the tribe and become a lawyer after?
But how does he know that a lawyer, such a thing exists? That's what I meant. That in a Western society here, we have so many different choices. Where I could be like, one day I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a podcaster, but maybe then that's just. Let's start
the indigenous podcast.
Let's go set up in the jungle. Man, all these insects.
Our next episode's gonna be in the jungle. Yeah, all that to say that like it's hard to really.
I think you don't want to like give up.
Well, it's not that I don't want to give up. I just don't want to like say that. We're necessarily limited in those people are limited. I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you, as a hunter-gatherer, they can still like decide to do
they could
something completely different.
They could decide to, you know, live their lives, I guess. Okay. They have like, what is free will too? Like, is it actually becoming a lawyer? Is that actually free will, or is it because you were influenced to become a lawyer kind of thing, you know?
I guess
like if I didn't know what a lawyer was, right, would I be inclined to become a lawyer? No. Right?
But that's what Sam Harris says, is that if you never knew the option, how could you choose it? So whenever you know the option because you've heard it and somebody's talked about it, so there's that kind of push, if you will. It's
I guess
it's hard.
It's hard to know the right answer to this.
But yeah, I wrote here like free will as in that you can choose without any internal or external influences and have all options available. So
yeah, but that's the thing. Then it comes down to the question, like, do you know what all the options are? If you don't, then you can't make that choice, right?
Yeah.
It comes back to that. So it's hard to pinpoint an answer on this one.
Yeah, I mean, let's say like, I'm not gonna choose sort of like one side or the other.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I'm kind of leaning towards more of the idea that we are influenced.
Yeah, same.
We are creatures that just, you know, get pushed in certain directions depending on the life we have and the people that are around us. But I guess, you know, we can still sort of exercise some sort of decision making where we can maybe change our path depending on the options that are available to us. But to what extent are we free to choose?
Yeah, that's gonna depend, right? It's a weird this was a tough question.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and I guess this could be debated for hours on end. For centuries, yeah. I guess, you know, since the Greek philosophers, they've been debating this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, no right or wrong answer for this one.
Yeah. We'll leave it up in the air. Leave a comment and tell us what you think about this one.
That could be cool. Alrighty.
Right, excellent.
So the fourth and last question. All right. So if you could erase bad memories, would you do it?
Probably not. No. Because this comes back to like the suffering thing.
Or relating to that, yeah.
Because, yeah, like suffering makes you who you are in a sense, right? It's part of you. If you erase those memories, we go back to, remember when we talked about you don't
Oh yes. Oh yeah, you're right.
We talked about something like this once, right?
Yeah, well, in the I guess immortality episode.
Right.
Yeah.
We did. Like if we could erase all memories and start from a clean slate and shit, like that's what we were talking about.
I remember that.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be like the same person anymore.
Right.
Yeah, that's what
this was an easy one, man. Come on.
Well, no, I mean, wait a second. Okay.
He's gonna try to make it harder.
I'm gonna let it slide this easy. Okay. Okay. No, because in that episode of Immortality, we were saying that, if you lived 10,000 years, you would have accumulated so much memory and knowledge that it would be like too much to handle. So we were saying, like, can you delete part of it, or would you just restart from a clean slate, and would that affect your identity?
Yeah.
And we thought that, you wouldn't be the same person.
No, but you were saying that one way to become immortal would be to erase some of those bad memories and start from a clean slate.
Well, no, I didn't specify like bad memories. It was just the memories.
Just memories in general, and then starting from a clean slate, and then that would kind of make us like relive like another life, and that would be considered like immortal, right? But now we're not talking about someone that lives a long life.
No,
so.
let's say we're still in the regular. You got 100 years to live, let's say. And, you've experienced a really traumatic, like, okay, let's say, you were a child and you were raped, okay? It's a really serious thing, and some people have these traumatic experiences that they won't forget. So, should they erase it? Should they do that? Or do you think that anything that you experience should stay with you, like a scar?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think what makes us human is actually our conscious, right? And the fact that the way we're interpreting these bad memories is, our conscious is what's telling us what's right from wrong, and
what's bad and
what's bad. Yeah, exactly. And I think that just inherently makes us human. And as much as it sucks, I feel like tampering with that would, not be good. So keeping all our memories would.
Yeah,
probably be the best thing. I
guess I fall in that same line that. It makes us who we are at the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end of the day, as much as it sucks.
It's sort of related to the whole suffering that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's kind of like that idea of like, should we eradicate all forms of suffering? So if in the future there was some technology where you'd be like, I don't want to have this bad memory, can I delete it?
Right.
But should people do that? I guess it's an individual choice, but people should realize that there's a consequence in doing that where, how could we explain this? Yeah, it's like, it's almost as if, I feel that if someone has like sort of no wound or no scar, it's as if, they're not like a real person.
Yeah, they're an android or something.
They're just like kind of going through and everything's happy and jolly, is it?
It's like an artificial reality in reality.
Yes, exactly. You're like creating this superficial and unreal.
Exactly. It's what makes us human is our ability to perceive like good and bad experiences in life, and if we tip it towards the positive all the time, then it doesn't make us human, and you're never going to grow from that, right? If you're content all the time, right? What's the point?
Yeah, it's like, what's the point of living at that point?
Yeah.
If you don't endure any sort of, bad memories or anything. Yeah.
And sometimes, like something that could seem bad, you're going to have like years are going to pass, and it's going to turn into something like funny or good, and you could tell a story, right? If you don't have any bad experiences, imagine how boring life would be.
Yeah,
right?
like, how was your day? Good.
No matter what. Good.
Good.
That's actually funny. You know that, like, I was talking to my brother about this the other day. You know how like sometimes you go through like a drive-through, and then someone will ask you, "Oh, how are you doing today?" The automatic answer is good.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if someone would be just like, My day's terrible.
Yeah, I know. In general, everyone just says good.
Yeah.
Well, because I guess people don't want to burden you with their problems, so they just say, "Yeah, I'm good," but actually, I'm not. So
right.
But yeah, we're kind of like living this sort of pseudo like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm good. How are you doing? I'm good.
Yeah, always putting like a mask, right? Like everything's fine all the time.
Whereas with this, if there was such a technology that could enable, to delete your bad memories, then we would actually be like, yeah, I'm good. Really? I'm good too.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's like a Black Mirror-ish.
Yeah, it could be a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of similar to I think one of the first few episodes where he records with his eye.
Okay.
Remember that episode?
I can't remember that much, but
he's like a lawyer, and then he goes to like this party, and everyone has these devices where they can record with their eyes.
Oh,
and
right.
he catches his wife like chit chatting with a guy.
Yeah.
And then when he goes home, he's like, "Yeah, look, I saw you."
Oh yeah. I remember that episode.
And you can delete memories that have been recorded. Yeah. So,
yeah, I don't want humanity to go down that.
But
path.
I don't want to be able to delete my own, memories that I have, but I don't want to also be able to record everything and remember everything.
Yeah, well, that's why, your brain has a mechanism where it flushes out memories.
There you go, yeah.
Like, your brain would just go on overload if you weren't able to, rid some of that information.
So I guess, again, it's a balance thing where, you have your bad memories, you have your good memories, but with time, things change, things get thrown out.
Exactly.
And you don't remember everything. It's like, okay, do you want to remember all the good stuff? Like every I don't know.
Well, think about how much information your brain has to, like, interpret every second. Like, you're just looking around, and imagine if your brain had to memorize all that. That's,
Too much.
Go on overdrive, like it wouldn't make sense. So you literally have a mechanism in your brain that flushes out information.
Like a RAM.
Yeah, like a garbage.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, because there's some information that's not deemed like important or necessary. Like, why do you need it? Like,
so
delete.
Just delete. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I guess it's to strike a balance like anything we talk about.
Okay. I feel like this podcast could just be renamed to Balance.
The Balance.
Balanceaholic.
Or we're rebranding.
Yeah.
Starting tomorrow. Okay. So I guess, we agree
on this one.
On this one. I think it was the previous one that was a bit more...
Bit harder to
debating each other there. But, so no, I wouldn't want to erase my bad memories.
Same.
Although, I can, like, just to like finalize, I can understand some people wanting to do that.
Yeah. Well, hey, I could even think of personal memories I wouldn't want, but like I would still keep them at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Okay. That
like
that
I could think of a couple and be like, why would I want to remember that?
Yeah.
But
me
then
too,
at the end, I'd be like, well, that's what makes us human. So
that's what makes you you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if I had the choice right now, like, do you want to delete these memories? I could definitely name a few, and I'd still keep them.
Okay. Because at the end of the day, it forged your but because that's the thing, right? People shouldn't forget that they're not like these separate entities from their memories.
Yeah, we're all one system, one being.
Yeah, it's like where you are right now is in part because of what you experienced then.
Exactly.
So
no turning back.
No turning back. Let the past be the past.
Yes.
Alrighty.
All right.
Okay, so I think that wraps it up.
Cool. That was a good one. I like this philosophically deep topic thing.
It's a little change of
pace. I'll be the next one doing it.
Yeah, you should do the next one. Want to hear your deep questions.
Cool.
Anyways, closing thoughts. I don't know. Do we have anything else to add? Any other interesting points of views or anything else to tie things?
Well, I mean, I feel like the common theme today was kind of like the suffering aspect thing, which
I didn't intentionally think of that.
Yeah, it just kind of happened that way.
It just happened.
Yeah. Suffering-aholic.
No, another podcast.
Yeah.
You're right. I guess it kind of turned around that idea of like, suffering, and should we avoid it? Should we delete it? Should we get rid of it?
Yeah, exactly.
But we understood that there needs to be this sort of balance to be achieved. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that wraps it up. Anyway, so thank you guys for watching and listening to us. If you're watching on YouTube, you can, subscribe if you want to see more. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of it, or if you have any of your own deep philosophical questions. Maybe we'll get inspired.
Yeah, that'd be cool. If you write some down in the comments, maybe we'll use it.
We'll use it first. Yeah. But anyways, leave a like if you like the video. We try to release an episode every week or so, as much as we can. We release our episodes, on YouTube, on all the big streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. So yeah.
Don't go on Stitcher.
Don't go on Stitcher. What is it with Stitcher, man? Listen to us anywhere you want, and we'll catch you guys next time. Take care.
Catch you guys next time. Bye.